Pirate games are finally making a comeback, dude. But it ain't coming from the AAA studios who practically invented the genre, because out of nowhere, this early access indie game called Windrose just dropped on Steam, and it's already making Ubisoft look like absolute clowns. Like seriously, Kotaku just put out an article calling Windrose the Black Flag successor that Ubisoft tried and completely failed to make. But they aren't wrong, dude. This game is pulling in over 100,000 concurrent players right now, while everyone is still laughing at the grave of Skull and Bones. You remember Skull and Bones, right? The game that was in development hell for like over a decade over at Ubisoft. They kept delaying and rebooting it until they finally pushed it out the door just to appease some government grant they took. And what did we get? A bloated, boring live service ship game where you couldn't even get off your boat to explore an island or fight anyone hand to hand. Like, I remember watching the gameplay of Skull and Bones and seeing that your boat literally had a stamina bar. A stamina bar on a wooden ship. And if you wanted to harvest wood from a tree on an island, you didn't get off your boat to chop it down. No, you just sailed up to the beach and played a little QuickTime event minigame from the deck of your ship. It was the most lazy, uninspired garbage I'd ever seen. And to add insult to injury, the Ubisoft CEO literally looked gamers in the face and called it a quadruple A game, just so they could justify charging $70 for it. Like, dude, I didn't even know that there was a fourth A. I thought AAA was the ceiling, but apparently when you bloat your budget to over $200 million and take 10 years to make a game that nobody asked for, you get to just make up letters, I guess. And nobody had the surprise Pikachu face when it completely flopped, and had the player count so low, you would think it was a private server for the developers. It basically became digital toilet paper the second it dropped. And then along comes Windrose, an early access game from the relatively unknown indie studio, and they just give gamers exactly what they've been begging for at half the price. It's basically a mix of Valheim, survival crafting, Sea of Thieves style co-op, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag's naval combat. You start out stranded on an island punching trees, well, hitting them with an axe, but you get the point, and building a little camp. But yeah, the early game can be brutal. Like, there are these wild boars that will absolutely wreck your day in 2 hits if you aren't paying attention. You're mining for copper, burning wood for coal, just trying to survive. But once you get past that initial survival grind, the game opens up. You're building ships, hiring a crew, sailing the open ocean, while your pirate buddies sing sea shanties. And get this, they even got the actual lead singer from Black Flag Sea Shanties to do the vocals in this game. It's like the developers actually played the games and said, hey, what if we just made something fun? Instead of sitting in a boardroom trying to figure out how to squeeze an extra $10 out of little Timmy's mom for a battle pass. It honestly reminds me a lot of what's happening in the movie industry right now. You look at Hollywood and you see bloated budgets and nostalgia bait remakes. They spend $300 million on some superhero movie with terrible CGI that looks like a PlayStation 2 cutscene, and then they act shocked when nobody goes to the theater to watch it. They're so afraid of taking risks that they just keep pumping out the same safe, watered down slop. But that's exactly what it is. And the AAA gaming industry is doing the exact same thing. They're terrified of making a complete standalone experience, so they force everything to be a live service trend chaser because some suit convinced the investors that it's the only way to make $1 billion. They hire consultants to ensure that every kind of gamer feels included, but they completely forgot to write a decent script or build a game that's actually fun to play. Meanwhile, independent creators and smaller studios are coming in with a fraction of the budget, taking actual creative risks, and stealing the entire audience right from under them. It's like watching an indie film completely sweep the box office, while Disney's latest $300 million CGI slop fest falls on its face. And you can see this happening in real time when you look at the concurrent player numbers. Windrose is sitting comfortably at over 100,000 players and holding steady, with an overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam. Meanwhile, Bungie's new live service extraction shooter Marathon is already bleeding numbers like a stuck pig. Marathon just dropped last month with a $40 price tag, peaked at under 90,000 players during its launch, and now is just tumbling down the charts. And why? Because nobody asked for for it. Gamers are exhausted. We've got Arc Raiders pulling in the extraction shooter crowd and doing it way better. Arc Raiders has almost ascended its extraction shooter game design, where people actually act civilized and work together to take down massive robotic behemoths together. And here comes Bungie trying to milk the remaining goodwill after running Destiny into the ground. I played Marathon Server Slam, and while the shooting mechanics felt okay, the visual design was just weird overall, and most of the enemy types are just humanoid-shaped robots with shields. It was just another soulless trend chaser trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and gamers are voting with their wallets and choosing not to play it. And the ones that are choosing to play it, well, most of them have walked away apparently. And the sad part is, when these massive gambles fail, the developers are always there to pay the price, not the people actually in charge. Bungie just went through massive layoffs after Sony bought them out because they couldn't meet their financial expectations. Sony dropped billions on that acquisition, expecting Bungie to be their golden goose for live service games, moving from big blockbuster titles like Destiny to working on smaller scale extraction shooters that still somehow cost just as much money to make. And now they're sweating bullets watching Marathon's numbers tank. And over at Ubisoft, things are so bad that their stock plummeted to the point to where Tencent swooped in and bought a massive chunk of their company, practically owning enough of them to look like their pimp. Ubisoft had to restructure everything, cancel a bunch of games like the Prince of Persia remake and the Assassin's Creed Shadows multiplayer just to stop the bleeding. It's like a complete collapse of the old guard of gaming. They created the problem with overly grindy progression systems and soulless live service models, and now they're paying for it. But back to Windrose, the game isn't perfect, it's still in early access, and the developers said it's only got about half the content they want for the final release. The on-foot combat is a little bit clunky, and it's got this weird Souls-like parry system that feels a little stiff right now, especially when you're fighting zombie pirates or whatever, but the bones of the game are so incredibly solid. The ship combat is simple but satisfying. You just steer, shoot your cannons, and seamlessly transition into boarding enemy ships to loot their cargo. In Windrose, you can literally walk away from the steering wheel while the ship is moving, go down below deck, craft some bullets, and then listen to your crew sing. It feels exactly like Black Flag, which is crazy because Ubisoft has been trying to recapture that magic for a decade now, and they've been failing miserably. Windrose proves that you don't need a $200 million budget and an overly staffed studio where half the people don't even know what they're doing to make a good game. You just need a clear vision and an understanding of what makes gaming actually fun. What developers need to understand is that not every game needs to be this hyper-competitive PvP live service sweatfest. People actually enjoy PvE games, where they can just chill with their friends. Look at Helldivers 2, or Remnant 2, or even Palworld. Gamers want co-op experiences where they aren't constantly getting sniped by some 12-year-old who drank 4 cans of Monster Energy before breakfast and now is screaming into his microphone about his dinosaur McNuggets. Windrose gives you that. You can play it solo offline, or you can host a server with up to 8 of your friends, build a huge pirate base, craft some cool ships, and just explore the ocean without having to worry about microtransactions shoved in your face every 5 seconds. It respects your time, and even if the servers die tomorrow, you could still play the game. You actually own it, which is a huge deal when you look at games like Highguard and Concord getting yanked offline entirely. It's just crazy to me how disconnected these massive publishers are from reality. Ubisoft could have just made a proper Black Flag sequel, a single-player co-op pirate RPG with a good story and solid mechanics. Instead, they gave us Skull and Bones, a game so bad it basically handed the entire pirate genre over to a small indie team on a silver platter. And Bungie could have made a new single-player Halo killer, or expanded on Destiny in a meaningful way, but instead they chased the extraction shooter trend with Marathon, and now they're paying the price. Like I said before, Nintendo is out here just killing it these days, letting people enjoy their furries in Pokopia, while we try not to make eye contact with them. They just make fun games and it works for them. If there's one silver lining to all of this AAA disaster, it's that the success of games like Windrose and Clear Obscure Expedition 33 are proving that the live service bubble is finally popping. Gamers are tired of the slop, and until these big studios figure that out, they're just gonna keep dropping like flies. Anyway, I might go and pop in some classic Ubisoft games like Rainbow Six Vegas, because God knows that none of their new stuff is is hitting on anything at all. This is RageWatch, and I'm out. Thanks for watching.